Hello, and welcome back to Talking Llama with Connor. And today we have a very special guest here. Would you like to introduce yourself, special guest?
I'd love to introduce myself. Thank you very much, Connor. I'm Connor's dad, and I've been introduced. No, I haven't. I've been invited up to the Talking Llama studios, which is in the upstairs of my house. So, hello. I'm looking forward to this greatly.
So, I've already talked to you about my father, if any of you have listened to the first podcast.
Very handsome man.
And that's what I've heard. And you may know that he has also watched a lot of Survivor, not quite as much as me, but he's more of a casual fan, though I would say you're still a fan. Would you, Father? Would you like to talk about your experience and your journey with Survivor?
Yeah, I started off watching Survivor because Connor made me watch the Australian version, and I enjoyed it very much, especially Shawnee. And after watching the Australian ones, we decided to look at the American ones, and I've kind of got hooked into it, but I don't remember much. I can't remember people's names. I can remember their faces, but not their names. So very often Connor's got to tell me who's who.
So this is going to be very interesting, because today we're going to be doing a top 20 Survivor US player countdown, and we're going to be ranking them from 20 to 1. Now, we've had some discrepancies between us on whether we've both got 5 honourable mentions. And we've got... Oh, he's checking he's got 5 on his list. Have you got 5?
I think so.
There's been a bit of a disagreement in terms of I think the honourable mentions should be done at the start, and Dad thinks they should be done at the end. So what's going to happen today is I'm going to read you my 5 honourable mentions, and we're going to discuss them. And then we're going to go through our 20 to 1 ranking, taking turns. Dad will give me his 20th, then I'll do the same, and we'll debate back and forth. And then we'll finish with Dad's 5 honourable mentions. How does that sound to you, Father?
That sounds absolutely fantastic. I can't wait.
Very exciting. Well, would you like to get into it?
Okay.
Now, if you've listened to the first podcast, you'll already have quite a good idea of what players I like and dislike generally. And Dad already has a good idea of who I like and dislike, as it's pretty much all I talk to him about. But for these 5 honourable mentions, I'm going to be doing them in any random order, so it's not just a top 25 list. So to start off, my first honourable mention, I'm really struggling with that word today, is going to be Mr. Malcolm Freeberg.
Who's Malcolm Freeberg, I need to ask?
Now, today is going to be a lot of me pulling up pictures to show my dad who is who.
Well, no, I know who Malcolm Freeberg is. He's in my top 20.
Okay, great.
So I know him.
Can you tell us a bit about Malcolm, Dad?
Yes, he was a little bit like Ozzy, I think. He was fantastic. Well, no, he was fantastic in the challenges, wasn't he? He was
He was very good at
and
challenges.
he won loads and loads of challenges, and they wanted to get rid of him for that very reason. I remember that.
Okay, that's a good start. I think the difference between Ozzy and Malcolm, and by the way, just so you know, this isn't a ranking of how good we think they are as Survivor players. This is just a ranking on how much we like them. I think the difference between Malcolm and Ozzy is that, to me, Ozzy is much more of a character. He's a challenge beast, yes. He's not particularly good at any of the other aspects of the game, other than being a bit arrogant and funny. For revenge, basically. But, can you remember that quote?
I can remember that. That was Ozzy said that.
Yeah.
I'm quite an expert.
Yes, he is. I think the thing that makes Malcolm stand out above others is how good he is at all factions of the game. I don't think there are many players that are just as good at outwitting, outplaying, and outlasting. But I've always been a massive fan of the Philippines arc for Malcolm, and watching him go from someone who's on a tribe that's completely decimated to becoming like basically the favourite to win of that season. And watching his relationship with Denise. Can you remember Denise?
I haven't got a clue who Denise is. No.
Sex therapist, does that help?
Sex therapist, it should help, but no.
She gets rid of Sandra in Winners at War. Does that help?
Still no.
Okay, great. I think his relationship with Denise is very interesting as well.
Was he quite old?
Relatively.
Yeah, I think I know who she is. Yeah.
Okay, that's always good.
Quite small.
Yes.
Yep, I know.
Yeah. I think that's always a really interesting thing to me. But for me, my favourite Malcolm plot, well, season, is watching him on Survivor Caramoan. I love how that's fans versus favourites too, Dad.
Is that when he was with Keith? When it was just Keith and him on doing the challenge?
No, that's Joe. You're thinking of Joe Anglem.
Am I?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe I got the wrong person.
Okay. That would be a yes. It's a good start. No. Malcolm, tell me if this rings any bells. What I like about him in Caramoan is watching him...
Can I just interject? Does Malcolm look a little bit like Orlando Bloom?
I would say so.
Yeah,
yes.
okay. I'm thinking of the right face. I'm just obviously going mixed up with somebody else.
Oh, are you thinking of the right face? Let me pause a moment and show my father a picture of Malcolm to see if it's who he thinks he is. Is this who you think Malcolm is?
That's who I think it is. Orlando Bloom.
Okay. Now, were you getting him confused with this man, Joe Anglem?
That's who I was confused with. Yes.
Okay. So, I love watching Malcolm on Caramoan. I think that it's really interesting seeing him play on back-to-back seasons, going from such a threat on Philippines to becoming this real underdog on Caramoan. And I love the tribal where Philip Shepard gets sent home, and it's the Three Amigos tribal, where he shows everyone he's got those two idols, and the Majority Alliance think they're getting rid of one of Eddie Fox, Reynold Topher, or Malcolm. I'm being looked at with confusion. And Malcolm decides to display the two idols, obviously a big moment in Survivor history, and also his boot on Game Changers is so iconic. And although that's not really all down to him, it's obviously the first live tribal in Survivor history, which is fascinating to watch. And even though it's sad to see him go out so early, I think it's a good ending to Malcolm's story on Survivor. But talking about the person that my father sat next to me laughing in disbelief. But talking about the person that was really the figurehead of that tribal in Game Changers, we've got my next honourable mention, which is, Father, I believe you know who this man is. Could you name them from that, or do I have to tell you?
Coach.
No. This is JT.
Oh, JT. I know JT.
Would you like to talk to the people about JT?
I know JT because he's part of that famous double act, JT and Fishback.
Okay.
And
that was good. We're basically the know-it-alls, aren't we? Like Fishback and Sestonino, essentially.
Well, you are.
Got better.
I'm not quite. But yeah, I know JT. I was very impressed with JT on his first outing. But then when he came back, he was a little bit jaded, I thought. He wasn't quite himself when he came back.
This is interesting. Elaborate, why don't you?
Well, for a start, he wasn't quite as... He lacked the spark, I think. I think he let the money go to his head. He got a bit flabby. And no, he did. He was a bit flabby, and he wasn't as good in the challenges. And also, because he didn't have the Fishback to sort of guide him through it... I was going to say structurally, but I don't mean structurally.
Strategically?
I mean strategically, not structurally. Yes, strategically. I think he was lacking a little bit there. Yeah, he lost his edge.
Okay, now this is interesting, actually, because I talked about this on my first podcast, which Dad hasn't heard yet.
Oh, I haven't heard that. And can I say, if you've listened to the first podcast, you're probably not listening to this one.
Then, okay. Also, can I say that if Stephen Fishback or Rob Sestonino ever do listen, I know that we are never going to be the know-it-alls, and I'm happy to bow down to you. Anyway, carrying on. On my first podcast, I actually talked about this very subject, about how I feel Stephen and JT's subsequent seasons both prove that they need each other to be such a force in the game.
They do. Like Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah. Now, basically. Now, I love JT. I think he's such a good personality. The first season that he plays on, Token Jeans, although it's his best season, his winning season, the first ever perfect game in Survivor. Do you know what that is, Dad?
Perfect game. He didn't have a single vote against him.
And
And he didn't have a single vote against him.
and
And no one voted against him.
and he got every vote to win.
And he got every vote to win.
And it's only happened one more time. Do you know who that is?
Yep. It was Cameron Diaz-Twine.
Yep. No, it's John Cochran.
Ah, yes.
But even though that's his best showing, to me it's his least interesting appearance. To me, JT becomes incredible on Heroes versus Villains. The way that he has this storyline of turning from this good old southern boy into a villain on the hero's tribe is fascinating to me. And that whole situation where he thinks that Russell is about to be voted out next, because, as we know, Father, going into Heroes vs. Villains, no one else there had seen Russell play.
I know that. Yeah, I remember that.
So he didn't know who Russell was and didn't know the strategic powerhouse that he was. So he saw Parvati on a villain's tribe who famously had just led an all-female alliance with the Black Widow Brigade in her last winning season in Micronesia, and saw all the men getting kicked off and thought that Russell was next, and didn't realise that Russell was really in the driving seat. So can you remember what he does?
Who, Russell?
JT, to
J-
rectify this? He
JT,
sees this
no.
and thinks that Parvati's running an, in his words, all-devouring female alliance, and Russell is next. But he wants to work with Russell once the merge comes. Can you remember any of this?
Did he offer to look after his hat?
No, he didn't. He gives Russell...
His immunity idol?
Yes.
Don't remember.
He gives Russell his idol as a challenge. And then he writes a note to go with it for Russell. Can you remember the note?
Oh, yes, it was about how sorry he was feeling for Russell and things like that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and he knew
yeah.
they were taking advantage of the Russell, I think.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
I think that's when...
Be careful, Russell.
Yeah. I think that's when JT really becomes a fascinating character to me. And then seeing him go out at the merge tribal, essentially due to this, with Parvati doing the double idol play, really famous moment, is what really bolsters him into an interesting character and not just an interesting player to me. And then my favourite of his returns is when he comes back in Game Changers, as you said, completely jaded, essentially. And is just there moping about the whole season. And my favourite JT moment in Survivor is Sugargate. Can you remember Sugargate?
I don't remember Sugargate. Has it got anything to do with sugar?
It hasn't got anything to do with sugar.
Oh.
It's got something to do with real sugar.
Oh, they tipped away the real sugar. Did they?
Yeah,
Or am I confusing it
basically.
with some rice that was tipped away once upon a time?
Essentially, yeah. So,
Oh, no, sugar was eaten.
sugar was eaten. By
Parvati.
Sandra.
Mm.
He does know she's called Sandra, by the way. He doesn't think she's called Cameron Diaz-Twine.
She should be.
But, no, I think that's an incredible moment where the tribe win tea and coffee and some sugar. And JT knows that the only other person on that tribe who has sugar in their tea or coffee is Michaela Bradshaw. And do you need me to pull up a picture of Michaela Bradshaw?
Have we got time?
We have got
Is
time.
the question.
We have got time. Just as a spoiler, I don't talk about Michaela again in the rest of the list. I'm pretty sure that Dad won't. There's Michaela. Okay, Dad doesn't remember Michaela. But
Nope.
He knows that she's the only person on that tribe who has sugar in her drinks. So Sandra, to wind JT up, gets rid of all the sugar to basically cause a ruckus between Michaela and JT, who have already not been seeing eye to eye. And JT gets really upset, and then they vote him off. But I just think it's hilarious, and I love it. And I think JT is a great character, and deserves all the flowers, as they say. How are we feeling?
We're feeling good. Yep.
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 Any debates with my first two players on my honourable mentions?
No, I'm happy with your honourable mentions, except for the first one, which I had on mine. But I'm not sure if he's supposed to be on there or whether the other person's supposed to be on there. That I got confused with now. But I think I'm happy with Malcolm being on there because he looks like Orlando Bloom. That's always a good thing.
Okay, always a good thing. So, next on my honourable mentions, I'm going to go to Michelle Fitzgerald. Now, you should know Michelle, because what makes Michelle fascinating, and look, go on.
No, I was just going to say, just tell me something memorable that she did.
She won that challenge in Winners at War with when she was at the back of the challenge and then she got to the puzzle and it was stacking up all those things in towers.
Nope.
Very attractive. She won Co-Wrong the season with Aubrey, which was very controversial. People think Aubrey should have beaten Michelle. And the season with Ty.
Nope.
Any bells being rung?
Not at all.
Now, the thing is, I haven't got loads to say about Michelle, because I don't actually think she is the most fascinating personality in Survivor history, but I just have a soft spot for her. I think she's a really good player. I think she's very likeable, even though she's not the most unique player. I think she's great TV always. You may remember her for her ex-relationship with Wendell.
Wendell. There's a name I should remember. Wendell.
I'm just showing Dad a picture of Wendell.
Oh, I know Wendell. Yeah, I remember Wendell.
Can you now remember Michelle?
Nope.
Okay, let's show Dad Michelle. And let's see where Dad stands on Michelle Fitzgerald.
Let's have a look. Oh, yes, I remember her. Yes.
You should.
Yes. Nice looking girl.
And do you know anything important about Michelle?
Not at all. No.
Michelle is the only player in Survivor history to have not been voted out of the game.
Ooh.
Yeah, who is a returning player. Sorry, I should say that. Obviously, it have been one-time players who've won. The only player to have come back, played multiple times, and not been voted out.
Wow.
So she wins her first season.
And then gets into the final three.
And is in the final three.
Impressive.
In Winners at War. Which is even more impressive because it's playing against winners. We won't get into this right now because Dad doesn't agree that...
No, that doesn't make any difference. But hey-ho.
Okay. So we've got Michelle. Next on my honourable mentions list, and I'll just say that is the most boobies I've ever seen in my life.
It's Eric.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. I even know the quote.
Talk about Eric.
I only know this quote because we watched it last night. Connor made me watch it again. But I do like Eric because he was voted off and he was such a sad old loser when all those girls voted him off and he gave his immunity idol away, his necklace. And more than him being voted off, I just love the expression on Ozzy's face, the look of disbelief, the total look of disbelief. And
Ozzy sat there in his poncho.
And I love the fact that when... Was it Amanda?
Probably, yeah.
The pretty girl with the dark hair?
Yeah.
When she went up and she voted, she just had no words to say to the camera. She just looked at the camera, speechless. I thought that was great. And Eric was a nice person as well.
Yeah, we all know why Eric's up here. And I also love that Eric, at the start of Micronesia, says that he thinks that he's the one person that can give Ozzy a run for his money. And it's almost presented as like a joke, but he really does. I think he's really underestimated how much of a challenge beast he was in that season. He was probably better than Ozzy on that season. He definitely won more immunities than Ozzy.
Can I just ask, is he the one that Ozzy taught to climb up trees?
He is, yeah, he's little Ozzy.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. There's not much to say outside of that, but he's just such a likeable presence. And yeah, I've got a lot of time for Eric Reichenbach. So, my final honourable mention, before we're going to get into your list, is Rick Devens.
Ooh, nice. I like Rick Devens.
Nice.
And back to you.
Yes, Rick Devens is someone who, if I was talking the best players in Survivor history, would be nowhere near the list. Rick is someone who has a lot of flashy moves, but not particularly great moves. Things that just make him look entertaining in the jury's eyes more than impressive. For example, the Ron Clark vote, where Ron gives him this advantage menu where he can choose an advantage and he pretends he believes him, and he goes up to Jeff at Tribal and says he wants to play an idol. And then Ron says, and then they say that the advantage is expired. So he turns to Ron and Julia and says, "Oh, you two are villains and everything. I can't believe you've done this. You just want to make me look bad in front of my family at home." And he says, "Oh, but da da da. Actually, I have my own real idol." Lots of it is showmanship. All he did there was play an idol, but the way he played it off made it look way more impressive than what he was actually doing. Like when he makes those fake idols as well. Not actually something that's going to help him in the game. He didn't need to make fake idols, but it was something fun for the jury to get on board with. And as a viewer who likes watching Fun Survivor, I'm completely on board as well. And I think he's a god in confessionals. I think he's just pure joy to watch. Seeing him go from someone who's not quiet at the start of the game, but not really someone you think is a force to be reckoned with, having him get voted off and then come back and basically play as a returning player on this season, even though he's a one-time player, I think is something really interesting, and I'd be really surprised if we don't get Devons back on our screens for 50. Anything to say on Devons?
No, I just think he was a really entertaining person. I liked his personality, and I think, didn't he rub a lot of people up the wrong way?
He did.
But he didn't rub me up the wrong way. I thought he was really funny. I liked him.
Okay. Now I've got my honourable mentions out of the way. Would you like to talk about the first person on your top 20 list?
I would love to, because
I'd love to hear your opinions.
We've got 30 seconds left, haven't we? Of this 5-hour podcast. Okay, my first person, and it's purely based on how pretty I think she is.
That's terrible.
Really? I'm sorry. But she reminds me of one of those pin-ups they used to have in the Second World War that they paint on the side of American bombers.
You know why that would be?
Why was that?
Because she's a pin-up model.
Because she's a pin-up model. And so you probably know who she is. It's Sugar Kuiper. I think she's absolutely lovely. When I first saw her, I thought to myself, oh, maybe she's going to be a bit vacuous, this girl. I know I shouldn't think that just by appearances, but that's what I thought. But she was really nice, sort of socially, I thought. And I enjoyed the fact that she kept on going back to that, was it the Sugar Shack or something?
It was the Sugar Shack.
And eating all the fruit, and people thinking that she was having a really tough life, and she was going back and living a life of luxury. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I agree. I really like Sugar. Though I will have to say that I don't think she did very well socially, considering she
got a long way though, didn't she?
Yeah, but then she didn't receive a single vote at the end because they all hated her.
But she must have done well to get to the end.
Well, relatively. My only problem with Sugar is she's completely an emotional player. We know that she wasn't really in the right state of mind to be there anyway, with her father passing away quite recently, which she talks about on the program quite a bit. But every move she makes is not at all strategic, but completely emotional. Everyone she gets rid of is just because Sugar doesn't like that person.
That's fair.
Which is fair enough as
lots of people like that.
A viewer, but as a way to win the game, I don't think that's how you go about it.
I would.
But yeah, I can respect having Sugar up there as a personality.
Yeah.
And I had her quite high on my list, really. Not quite cracking it into there, but...
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So who's number 20 on your list?
Okay, so 20 on my list is someone that, if I'm being completely honest, I thought would be a top 10, top 5 player. And that's how much I love all of my top 20. And that's John Cochran. Cochran. Oh, Dad's looking concerned. Any thoughts on Cochran?
I'm just checking to see if I've got him on my list. I'm checking.
You can surprise us if you want.
I've got him on my list.
Okay. I'm glad. I think Cochran's incredible. Yeah?
Yeah, I've just remembered what he looks like, because I was looking at all the pictures when I was writing my list, because that's how I need to do it. And I remember what he looks like now, and he was fab. I like the fact that he started off being a bit of a geek and weak. he was comparing himself to all the muscly guys on the tribe, and he was obviously found wanting in that department.
On a tribe with Ozzy.
Yeah, and then at the end, he was just amazing, absolutely amazing. I loved him.
Yeah, I love him too. I'm with Jeff Probst on this one. I think Cochrane is fascinating. I agree for all the same reasons. I think his flip on the Aussie Alliance, well, not the Aussie Alliance, but you know what I mean, is inspired in South Pacific. I think if he didn't come back and win the game, he'd have leave a much more sour taste in people's mouths. But his win is really impressive. And even though people do tend to knock him for his challenge wins being not particularly physical wins, like he won the gross food challenge and things like that.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He won
No.
so many immunities. He also won an advantage at the end as well after Eric had to be medically evacuated. And I've got a lot of time for Cochrane. And also, can you remember in Game Changers where Debbie, you know Debbie?
Don't know Debbie.
The one that used to have every job under the sun. And the editors would say she had a different job every time.
Yes, I remember Debbie did everything, yes.
Can you remember when she was sent to exile, but exile was just her on a boat getting taught lessons from Cochrane?
Oh, yes, I remember that. I do remember that, yeah. That was good.
I think that's a hilarious thing to have happened in Survivor history. And, yeah, I think if we're starting off this top 20 with Cochrane, then it's going to be a strong list.
Oh, it's powerful.
It's a powerful list.
It is a powerful list.
Okay, we'd like to talk about your number 19.
Okay, my number 19. Another person I think that started off slow and weak and then got better and better. And also another person I think who is part of like a double act, if you will. It's Aubrey Bracco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I like Aubrey.
Do you know who the double act is? Because
I would say Sydney Gallant.
Oh, obviously I'm wrong.
Are you going with Ty?
I'm going with Ty.
Then I would also kind of agree with that.
I don't think either of them would have gotten as far without each other. And we've got a lot of time for Aubrey.
Okay, now Ty, obviously in his first season, is a lot more affiliated with the Beauties or Kyle Jason and Scott Pollard. But I can completely see that, and obviously return again together in Game Changers. And can you remember that Ty plays his idol for Aubrey when Cerise votes out an advantage getting?
I do remember that, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of time for Aubrey.
Yeah.
But I'd like to
I think she was his emotional crutch, I think. He was falling apart a lot, and she was the one that sort of held him together. And I think that took its toll on her in the end.
Okay. Insightful.
Mm.
I would like to know your opinion on the... Now showing you a picture of her. Aubrey versus Michelle debate. Michelle, I showed you a picture of earlier.
Yeah, I remember that picture.
Now, the final three of Survivor Co-Wrong is Ty,
Yeah,
Aubrey,
yeah,
and Michelle.
yeah,
Michelle wins.
yeah.
Loads of people think that Aubrey should have won. I'd like to see where you stand on that.
I think Aubrey should have won myself.
Okay.
I almost said Ty because I just like him, but I think he was held together by Aubrey.
Okay, so my next question is, does that mean that Michelle, the winner, is the least likely out of the three to get your vote?
Well, seeing as she's not on my top 20 list, she obviously didn't sort of factor in my brain as much. So, yeah, I'd say she was the third out of those three for me.
Okay. Now, I personally completely understand why Michelle won. I think Aubrey sort of hid her way of playing from the rest of the players there, which was a strategic decision, but they obviously don't see that. They haven't watched the program before making their votes. But I do have a soft spot for Michelle. I think Michelle is very good socially, but at the end of the day, I think I probably would have given my vote to Aubrey. I don't know if I was on if I would have changed my mind if I was on the island, seeing it from their perspective, but as an outsider, I think Aubrey would have been my winner for that season, even though I prefer Michelle. Anyway, good.
Okay, who's yours?
Interesting stuff. Now, at number 19, I've got someone who has also made Final Tribal twice. Another female. but has never won. She's played 3 times. Can you tell me who this is, Dad?
Amanda Kimmel.
Hey, it's Amanda Kimmel.
Hey, good guess.
Well done.
It's one of the only females I know.
Yeah. We love Amanda Kimmel.
Very, very pretty.
Yeah. Also a great player. Very, very, very good strategically. The way that she manipulates Eric at the end with that... the last couple of episodes of Micronesia, I think she's very instrumental in all of that, with Natalie, Suri, and Parvati, obviously. I think when she plays her idol to get rid of Alexis that season, it's great. I think also that Todd couldn't have gotten as far in China without having Amanda there. And even her Heroes vs. Villains showing is really good. Can you remember when she... This is why she's up there as a personality for me. Can you remember when she had a fight with Danielle Di Lorenzo in Heroes vs. Villains over an idol clue that they found when they were at Robert Louis Stevenson's house watching Treasure Island with Colby on the bed?
Yes, I do. She snatched it off her, didn't she?
Yeah, hilarious.
Yes, that was great.
That's a great scene. Colby just lying there eating the popcorn trying to watch the film is great. And I also love the scene, which you'll probably remember, at the final tribal council of Micronesia, when Ozzy starts telling Parvati how much he hates her because he robbed her. She robbed him of precious time he could have spent on the island with his beautiful Amanda that he tells he loves. You remember this?
Don't remember that.
It's one of the most cringy moments in Survivor, and made even more cringy when you know the background information that by the time of the reunion show, only a couple of months later, he's cheated on her.
Oh, bad boy.
But yes, I think Amanda is a very underrated character. She's sort of gone completely off the grid since Survivor. We've seen her once since Survivor. No one knows where she is. No one knows what she's doing.
Wherever you are, Amanda, phone me.
Okay, so you'll go.
Okay, my number 18 is the other half to my Aubrey. It's Tai Trang.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why I like Tai so much. I think it's because he's a very well-kept man. You know, he's quite old. And very often the old ones, you think they haven't got much of a chance. He's little, so he's not physical. He's not a physical threat. He was a little bit emotional. He fell apart quite often, and he had to go to Aubrey for reassurance. And he struggled quite a lot, I thought, at times. And he managed to get through it all and, end up in the final 3. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And made a very deep run his second time as well.
Mm,
and he's the king of finding and holding idols. Ty's great at finding an idol and not having to play it for tribals upon tribals upon tribals, where most people would get scared. He's very good at sitting on that idol and knowing when is the best time to play it. I do have a question for you about Ty.
Go
What do you think about Ty's relationship with Mark the chicken?
Mark the chicken. Oh, yeah, he didn't want to kill a chicken, did he? I remember that.
And he takes the chicken all the way to Final Tribal.
Yes. And he wouldn't let them kill the chicken. He was going to liberate it. Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. I would have killed the chicken myself, but hey.
Here is someone that I don't really have many specific moments for, or any reasons in terms of gameplay that she's this high. My general reason is that everything she does is TV gold and hilarious, and if she was on every season, I would not complain. So throw a coconut at Scoopin's head. It's Abby Maria Gomez.
No. She's just she's just a bad mood person. She's just angry.
Oh, but she does have her moments where you feel sorry for her. When she sat on the beach upset because they've all been laughing at her and Terry Dietz looks after her. You can't remember that, can you?
I remember her being upset very often, but it was usually her fault. And I thought she was horrible to that. When she was in the first time, there was a girl called BJ. Was it BJ?
RC.
Yes, RC. I knew it stood for something. Radio Control. That's the one. But yeah, she was quite mean with her. She accused her of things that she hadn't done.
I'm on Abby Maria's side.
No.
Abby Maria for the win. She's incredible. So you know that not Abby Maria, RC was offered a chance at the second chance ballot
Yeah.
for Cambodia's second chance, but she wouldn't do it because Abby Maria was going to be on the season.
Well, that's fair because she's a spiteful little Brazilian.
She's a lovely little Brazilian. I think everything she does is hilarious. I love when she talks about the idol at the Merge Tribal in Philippines. No, the Jeff Kent Tribal, sorry, in Philippines. I think that scene where PG is secretly talking to... Who is it? It doesn't matter, it's PG that's important. Is talking about Abby behind her back, and Abby appears and goes, I was stood right behind you the whole time, I was listening to everything. Is incredible stuff. When she accuses PG of stealing her bracelet because she finds it in her bag.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Oh, she's great. Her relationship in that season with Varna as well, I think, is very fascinating. Now, obviously, we have problems with Varna post-game changes, but Varna is great on that season, and it's really interesting seeing their dynamic play out. But, yeah, any season, give me Abby Maria.
Okay, we ready for my number 17?
We are.
Okay, my number 17 is the one and only Philip Shepherd. Absolutely fantastic. To see Philip Shepherd in his pants is just, it's just magical. And I would like to be in Philip's gang. If he made me a special agent of something, I would be over the moon. I don't care what it is.
Would you like to be part of Stealth RS?
I would love to be part of Stealth RS.
What would your Stealth RS name be?
I would be Sloth.
The Sloth.
Yeah, because I'm not very fast.
I'd be the Operator.
Ah, nice.
Because why not?
Excellent.
And I'm going to stop you there, because my number 17 pick is none other than Mr. Philip Shepherd.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Wow, indeed.
I feel that must be correct then.
People hate Philip. I know that people despise Philip. I know that people think he's playing it up a bit. I don't care. Philip is such a joy on both of his seasons. And the fact that he holds so much power in Caramoan is always shocking to me. I love when he talks about his two different tattoos, one being about looking after America and one being looking after his family. It's like the lion. Is it an eagle then?
Isn't it? Is it gorilla?
It might be. I can't remember.
I know it's a lion or something.
Yeah, hilarious. I love when he finds that feather that was sent to him by his Cherokee ancestors that he wears. And obviously we all know about the iconic tribal. Go on, Dad, say it.
The iconic tribal where something happened.
Francesca.
Who?
Francesca.
Oh, Francesca. Yeah, and he could say it all along.
He could. His mouth was just dry. He's just incredible. And he's weirdly not that strategically inept. He talks quite a lot in Redemption Island about how he knows that Boston Rob is the biggest threat to win this game. And he's like playing up this goat thing so that Rob will drag him to the end. And in the end, he'll cut Rob and reveal his game. Which shows that he does know what's happening. The problem is, he never does that. And what he does instead is go to the final tribal council and they ask him how he can describe his game. And he says, well, I wouldn't be here without Rob. Rob's the best player ever. And talks about how great Rob is. And then comes back a couple of seasons later and talks about how he's learned everything from Boston Rob. And he follows the Boston Rob rulebook. And he has the Boston Rob rules. And then tries to run the game like Boston Rob, which I think is fascinating. So yeah, I agree. Philip Shepherd, right there.
Excellent.
So, because I chimed in there, we're going to move back to Dad. And I'm going to ask you what the 16th place player is on your ranking.
Okay, on my 16th place, get a bit closer here. 16th place for me, we've talked about him before, so I haven't really got anything new to say about him. It's John Cochran.
Okay.
Yeah. I just like him. He's nice.
Yeah.
And he's better than I thought he would be when I first saw him in the first episode.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And my 16th place, I assume she'll also come up on your list, is Kelly Wentworth.
Oh, yes. Yep, she's on my list.
Yep. Where do you stand on Kelly Wentworth?
I think she's great. First saw her with her dad, didn't we?
Yeah.
And
Do you know his name?
Mr. Wentworth. I
Dale
believe.
Wentworth.
Dale, Mr. Wentworth. Yeah, and I thought she was good on that, but they're very similar, and they didn't make that much of an impression on me. But when she came back afterwards on her own, that's where she really flourished, I think.
Yeah,
very,
completely.
very, very impressive. All round good gamesmanship, I thought.
Yeah. Now, something a bit bizarre about my father. He doesn't remember the Wentworth will not count tribal where she negates 9 votes. But power to you.
Yeah, means nothing to me.
I think that's obviously such an iconic tribal. Her whole showing on that season is great. You've got her finding the idol at the challenge right out of the gate. You've got her negating all those votes and getting rid of Andrew Savage. Oh, and a great Abby Maria moment there when Andrew Savage is voted off. And she says, "Oh, at least you made the jury." And he flips her the bird.
Excellent.
Fantastic stuff. The fact that she didn't tell the rest of the Witches' Coven about the idol and they're so pleased as well. It's great stuff. Seeing her make it all the way to 4th place as well. And the no votes tribal as well, of course, where she plays her idol and Jeremy plays his idol. Any of that ringing a bell?
Is that where, like, only a couple of... no one... something happened and only one person could go, wasn't it?
2 of them, essentially.
Is that when Jeff sort of had the picture?
Yeah,
yes,
that's
right.
the
I can remember
chalkboard. Yeah.
Very complicated.
So, all the votes were cast for Kelly Wentworth or Jeremy Collins. They both play idols. Then they have a revote, and it becomes a stalemate where those 2 are obviously safe, and it only becomes Kimmy Kappenberg and Keith that can go home, and then from there, because Tasha and Spencer become safe, so from there, only Kimmy or Keith can go home, and they have to come to a unanimous decision, and Keith says, "Oh, I'll go back and send me to the house," but then he changed his mind because Kelly Wentworth doesn't want him to, so Kimmy gets sent home. Confusing stuff.
Very confusing.
But, oh well. So yeah, Kelly Wentworth.
Excellent.
Yeah, good news. What about you?
Okay, my number 15 now, isn't it?
I believe... Yeah.
Yeah, my number 15...
Oh wait, did you say your number 16?
Yeah, my number 16 was John Cochran.
Oh yes, of course you did.
So my number 15, I can't believe he's this low down my list. It just shows how much I like the people above him. And this is another person. Starts off, when you first see this guy, you think, oh, he's not going to last very long. He's going to be one of the first ones to be voted out.
I think I know where you're going.
He looks quite weak. He's a bit timid, and he's not going to survive out here. And he just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's David Wright.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
I will say that David Wright is also on my list.
Oh,
I think a really underrated player.
Yeah.
A hell of a player.
When he came back the second time, and he's got that bit of confidence under his belt, he was even better. I thought he was fantastic the second time around.
I love David Wright. I love a rock draw. Dad doesn't.
No, I don't. Nothing good about a rock draw at all.
I think a rock draw is fantastic. It's the biggest move you can make in this game.
No.
But okay, but I think the rock draw is incredible. I love when he makes the fake idol for Jay to find. Do you remember him making a fake idol?
I remember him making a fake idol. That was good.
I think that's all great.
Big fan of a fake idol.
He's another one of those people that hasn't really got a specific moment. I agree with Dad. It's the journey that's more interesting.
It's his arc.
And just him as a personality. So yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
For me, I have got in this spot Natalie Anderson.
Natalie Anderson. I know the name. Can't put a face to it.
Okay, bear with us as I show my father a picture of Natalie Anderson. That's not Natalie Anderson.
I thought
that's Natalie Anderson.
Oh, Natalie Anderson, the one with the sister.
Yes, the twins.
She was incredible, carrying coconuts and things like that on that island with Boston Rob. They had to go up and carry coconuts back. Was that the one?
Oh, when they had to go and take the logs up and down,
Yeah.
and Ethan passes out.
That's right.
Yeah.
She was incredible.
She's incredible on
Yeah.
the Edge that season. Really impressive.
Yeah, I like her a lot.
I think other than not going into fire making against Tony, she plays that end game pretty optimally. I don't think there was much she could have done to beat Tony at the end there, having been out of the game for so long. But I think her first season is where she really shines. After Jeremy's voted out, and she goes on this like Kill Bill-esque revenge plot against everyone who wronged her. The way that she gets rid of John Mish after sort of getting his trust. He's the one that likes wine. You remember him with his girlfriend on there? Jacqueline?
No, do not remember.
Okay, well, that's always good. Seeing the scene where she says to Jacqueline, before she plays her idol on Jacqueline, "Oh, Jacqueline, did you vote for who I told you to vote for?" I think that's one of the most iconic lines in Survivor history. It just shows the jury that she is the true powerhouse behind the game.
Is that line as iconic as "Can I please have your coat"?
Well, I'm glad you said that. But you can go next.
Oh, can I? Oh, excellent.
We'll get on to that.
Are we going to come to the lady that says, "Can I have your coat"? I like that. It's not on my list, though. My number 14 is someone who is absolutely amazing. And it's Jonathan Penner.
Oh.
And his hat.
I love Jonathan Penner.
He's just awesome.
I adore Jonathan Penner.
Yeah.
As he calls himself, the Wandering Jew. What a great character. Go on, Dad. You talk about your feelings on Jonathan
I don't really know why I like Jonathan Penner. He's a reporter, isn't he?
Is
he a writer?
An actor, yeah, kind of. Yeah, he's an actor, really.
Oh, in my
First
brain,
and
he's
foremost.
like a reporter. I love his accent. I suppose, if you're not American, you're not going to love his accent as much as I do.
Very like Alan Alda-esque.
Yeah, I just think he's so... On his first series with... who's that one? With Ewell, I thought he was masterful on that. And when he came back, it was one of the saddest things I've ever seen when he had to go away on a boat. Really, really sad, I thought.
It's so upsetting. I cry when I watch that scene. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
I love when he says, "She rode you like oxen." It's so good.
Good. That's the voice I like. Yeah.
Jonathan Penner. I love him.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that, but my next spot is, as we've just revealed, Angelina Keeley. Natalie, can I have your jacket?
Great. Can you play that idol for me?
Oh, Dan, can you play the idol for me? The fact that she's played one season and has so many moments that make her so iconic. Finding the idol after she has to climb up that ladder and her go into the wrong place and then say, "I could have died up here," where she's about 20 feet up in the air, is incredible. Her deciding she's going to start a negotiation for Rice.
Oh, yes. And giving everything away.
And talking about everything. And Jeff Probst saying that's a good example of a lowball offer. Everything she does in that season is gold. The Natalie moment, "Natalie, can I have your jacket," is still iconic. And her voting confessional where she says, what's his face? "I'm voting for..." Does she vote for Lisa? I can't remember, but she said, "I'm voting for you." But it's actually a ploy, so Natalie thinks that... I know Natalie's going home, but I want her to think that I'm on her side, so she'll give me her jacket. It's so good.
I also love the way she's on the very first couple of scenes of the whole series, where she's on the boat and she's looking at people from the other tribes down her nose. She's looking at them in disgust. It's great.
She's just hilarious, and I think we've been robbed of an Angelina Keeley return, and I feel like if it's not just New Era players, there's not a chance that she's not on Survivor 50. I know that Jeff loves her, I know production loves her, and I can't believe that we haven't had the opportunity to have her back yet. So yeah, Angelina Keeley. To you, Father.
Okay, my next one is someone we've also spoken about before. It's Orlando Bloom lookalike, Malcolm Freeberg.
Yes. Now, did you mean to have Malcolm or did you mean to have Joe?
No, I think I meant to have Malcolm because when I was thinking about him, he had a little goatee type thing.
That helps because Joe has one.
Oh, maybe not then.
Then
Maybe they're one and the same.
Okay.
I get confused between those. So they're both little sort of Aussie wannabes, aren't they?
yeah, essentially,
But
Malcolm's way better. But
yeah, I'd be happy with either of those two.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And not much to say on my next person because my number 13 spot goes to David Wright.
Ah, lovely David.
Lovely David. We love David in this house.
We do.
And I'm very honoured to say that I am a Facebook friend of Mr. David Wright.
Oh, well done, you.
I know, maybe my highest achievement in life.
You might listen to this podcast one day. Love you, David.
Love you, David. Okay. Number 12.
Okay, my next one. I've spoken about this person as well. Kelly Wentworth.
Okay.
Kelly Wentworth, an all-round awesome player. She's good physically. She's incredibly strategic, I think.
Yeah.
The social game is really good.
Yeah.
She is just masterful.
Yeah.
She had all those idols, and really, there's not much you could say against her.
No, I love
Fantastic.
Kelly Wentworth.
Yeah.
We're so lucky that she did come back after having such like a non-entity showing the first time,
So
really.
lucky to have her in our lives.
We're really lucky to have
Yeah.
Wentworth back in our lives. Okay. This is going to be shocking for many, I think. And probably shocking for you. Because I can't believe how low this person is. But there were just so many people that I had to put above her. And that is Cerie Fields.
What?
Yeah.
No. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why is she down there?
She's at 12.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Crazy.
I know. I felt dirty doing it.
No, that's bad.
Cerie's incredible. I love Cerie. There's nothing I don't like about Cerie. The 3-2-1 vote. Her first fire-making challenge on her first season, the fire-making challenge where she goes out. I love the way that she was being told that she was going to go out on her first season by Shane Powers and Aris and all of those.
Yeah.
She manages to stick it out.
She just hangs in there, doesn't she? It's incredible.
Her becoming a villain almost on Micronesia. I think if she's in that final two and it wasn't a surprise final two, she wins. If it was a final three as it was meant to be. Incredible. Her heroes versus villains game isn't as impressive, but it's crazy how much power she has in that couple of episodes. And she's only really voted out because they know she's Cerie Fields. And then having her come back again in Game Changers, play such a great game again, and then go out in advantage getting in such a sad way. I think we're robbed of Cerie Fields as a winner of the game.
Yeah.
And I think she is one of the faces you think of when you think of Survivor.
Incredible.
And I can't wait to have her on Survivor Australia versus the World.
Yeah.
If Cerie doesn't win that, I'm going to be very upset.
And she's another one for me that starts off, she comes in and she's scared of everything. She's timid.
She got off the couch.
Yeah, she just doesn't like anything physical. And by the end of it, she's doing everything. She's like Jane of the Jungle. And when her family come on and she's sort of showing her what she can do, and they're so surprised by the sort of change in her, I think that's fantastic.
I love Cerie. I do love Cerie. There are just 11 people that I love more than Cerie. So, go on.
Okay, my number 11. And I don't know, he may not deserve being this low in my list, because if you can run up, well, he didn't even run, if you can walk along a beach with a shark attached to your arm, you are a god.
Okay.
And he probably didn't have any clothes on at the time.
No, probably not.
Even better. Old,
as long as Sue Hawk's not there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, watch what you put in where. But old Richard Hatch, absolutely fantastic, outspoken. I love him. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he's the first great survivor, really.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Yeah.
Not much I can really say about him, but he just did some incredible things, and to have the brass neck to just walk around with no clothes on. When there are sharks out in that ocean, that's a brave man right there.
He's basically like the prototype even for every survivor that came after him, isn't he?
Yeah, he sort of knew how to play it, without watching anyone. He just made the rules up, didn't he? Fantastic.
Yeah, he basically made Survivor what it is today, and for that, like, I can't knock him. He played such a good game for someone who had nothing to go off, and basically taught everyone else how to play after him. Without him, he wasn't the only person to create alliances, but I mean, he's sort of credited as the creator of alliances, I guess, other than Stacey Stillman. But and Sue and all, obviously. But he also changed how people thought the game would be won. People watching in 2000 thought he was a terrible bloke, thought he was clearly being set up as the losing finalist, and we were meant to dislike him, and then he won the game. And at the time, it was almost seen as unethical, wasn't it, to have alliances? But he showed people that that is how you win the game, and that is what is deserving of $1 million, and it changed how the game was played from then on.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as much about loyalty. I mean, it was for the first few seasons still, but people understood that you have to play this strategic game to get...
Lots of people on the jury didn't quite understand it. There was lots of bitterness on those first juries, I thought.
Snakes and rats
Yeah,
to mind.
I did enjoy the bitterness that was there.
Yeah.
But, no, he was fantastic.
Yeah, he was. And I can't respect a man more who gets told he's going to win $1 million and then doesn't pay his tax on it because he was told he was going to get $1 million, so he did.
Too right, yeah. If you're told something, stick by it.
And then spend some time in jail.
Yeah.
That's our message to you, viewers. Don't pay your taxes. Go on.
Keep your clothes on. Right, my next one. Oh yeah, I'm just going to say a little phrase here, and you'll get it from this. Who voted for me?
That wasn't too bad.
Look at that, that's quite good. Rupert Bonham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Rupert Bonham. He is the embodiment of a pirate, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, just amazing. When he stole the shoes and everything, he just lived that pirate life.
Yeah.
He was just doing his best life. And when he designed that house that sank,
oh, hilarious!
all the water coming in, and he was so sad about that. And then when he went, I'm not sure when it was, but someone ruined his dreams.
Oh, so much for my dreams.
Oh,
when he goes out.
Such a huge character, and
yeah. I'm really upset to say that he's not on my top 20, but he's someone that would be very close to making it. I think he's like someone again who is one of the faces of Survivor. He's so synonymous with it.
Fab.
And also when he gets his snake Balboa.
Oh yeah,
Balboa dies.
He's a very emotional man, wasn't he? And when his wife went out, then what was it?
Laura Bonham. Oh, in Blood vs. Water. We've seen it before that, but yeah, she plays then.
That was sad when his wife went out. It broke him, I think.
Well, he swaps places with her, doesn't he, at the start?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a guy.
But then, but I don't need to see them making out ever again. It's too much for my eyes. I'm going to say something else controversial here. Maybe not for the super fans at home, but definitely for my dad. At number 11, this is a character ranking, remember? I've got Miss Sandra Diaz-Twine.
No, that's totally in the wrong place, I'm sorry to say.
Okay.
Cameron Diaz-Twine.
Would she not make it onto your list?
Oh, God. She's at the pinnacle of my list. Well, not quite the pinnacle, but she's up at the pointy end, let's say. Amazing.
Yeah.
Queen stays queen.
Queen does stay queen. I don't know about that. I mean, an incredible character. There's nothing I can knock Sandra for, other than maybe not being the most strategic, but that's not what this list is about. There are just so many people I prefer over Sandra.
I love her strategy of, as long as it's not me. I mean, that gets you to the end, doesn't it? Every time, as long as it's not me, gets you there.
Yeah. I mean, I've got nothing but respect for Sandra Diaz-Twine. She's a great character. Everything she does is gold. She's hilarious when she spills the fish and blames it on Krista Hasty in her first season in Pearl Islands. That's an incredible moment. When she says, last time I was mean, this time I'm meaner. I'll come up with a lie, but I'll come up with a good lie. A great opening for her in Heroes vs. Villains when she throws Russell's hat on the fire.
Wow.
Incredible stuff. I love Sandra. There just happen to be 10 people that I love more than Sandra. And as much as you can dispute it, it's hard to get over the fact that she is the first 2-time winner. Also, we had a weird introduction to Sandra, really, didn't we?
I was going to say that.
Go on.
When we were watching Australian Survivor and they had Sandra and Russell on,
We didn't know who they were.
and she
at the time.
arrived in a helicopter. And I remember thinking, who is this who does she think she is? Coming in, in a helicopter. She can't be all that. But my God, I would have let her come in on a golden helicopter.
Yeah.
On the wings of angels. She could have come in any way she wanted. She is awesome.
Yeah. I agree with all of those sentiments.
Yeah.
And I will pass it on to you.
Okay.
Is this your 10 or 11?
This is my. Let me just focus here. Don't look at my list.
I'm not looking at your list.
This is my. This is my number 9 now. My number 9 is. The second name, Tyson Apostle.
Apostle, yeah.
Apostle. Tyson Apostle. Absolutely fantastic. So funny. The first series, I didn't warm to him at first. I thought he was a bit mean. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, he is, but in the most hilarious way.
But I realised then he wasn't just nasty. He was very just dry. That was his sense of humour.
Yeah.
And I thought it was amazing. And when he was giving Coach some lessons on, don't say this and don't say that, and don't do your Tai Chi because people laugh at you.
They mock you.
They mock you. That was just amazing.
Yeah. It's so iconic.
Yeah.
He's so good. When he says to Katie when she goes out, is it Katie? Tina's daughter. You know who I mean. That's your seat over there after she goes out in the rock drawer.
Oh, bad man.
Hilarious. When he buys the peanut butter in Winners at War, he could get an idol with those fire tokens if he wanted, but he gets the peanut butter. When he comes back in after the Edge challenge, when he comes back into the game in Winners at War.
Was that his final? Was that his last time on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I he's another one when he came on in his final. Was it second or third time back?
It was his 3rd time back. It was his 4th time playing.
Well, I thought his last time back, he wasn't as he'd lost a bit of his spark. I thought the last time, but
he makes me cry when he's talking about how he's got a family from this. His Survivor is his job and it's changed his life and everything. Yes. I think he's great.
Still awesome, but
and how can you talk about Tyson without talking about him accidentally voting himself off in Heroes vs Villains?
I don't even know he did.
Okay, so Boston Rob's alliance in Heroes vs Villains is against Russell and Sandra, yeah?
Yeah.
And Danny L.T. And they decide they're going to split the votes between Russell and Parvati, and nothing can go wrong if one of them's got an idol. Russell talks to Tyson and says, yes, I do have an idol. I'm going to vote for Parvati because I know all of you are voting for Parvati. There's no point in me voting for anyone else. So I'm just going to vote for Parvati. You might as well do the same. And Tyson says, yeah, well, fair enough. We know Parvati doesn't have an idol, so I'll vote for Parvati. And one of them will go home anyway. And Russell says he's going to play the idol on himself, so he'll be safe. So he says, well, why would I vote for Russell? Russell then goes to Tribal and gets Tyson to flip his vote to Parvati, but for the first time ever in Survivor history, plays his idol on someone else.
Genius.
And plays it on Parvati, essentially making Tyson's vote himself out of the game.
Wow.
Iconic moment.
Impressive.
Great episode. Fabulous stuff. Now, because of the Philip Shepherd debacle, I'm still on my 10th place. But I can move past my 10 and 9 really fast because we have talked about both of them. And at 10th, I've got Richard Hatch.
Oh, okay, yeah, very good.
And at 9th place, I have Jonathan Penner.
Oh, Penner.
Can't go wrong with Jonathan Penner.
Lovely.
Okay, would you like to carry on with yours?
Okay, I think I'm on number 8 now, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. And my number 8 is Ozzy. Ozzy Lust.
Yeah.
And
Well, weirdly, on some interviews he calls himself Lust, and on some he calls himself like Lezuth or something like, I don't know, but he calls himself different things in different interviews, which I find hilarious.
anyway, just Ozzy, absolutely fantastic. Has there ever been a challenge beast that's so awesome in the water? I mean,
Oh, he's like a dolphin, isn't he?
when I can just remember him going down into some cage and release. They had to go down and release a ball each or whatever, and he went down, and I think he got every single person's ball out, so they didn't have to do anything. He was just unbelievable, but unfortunately, it went to his head, I think, a little bit when he came on.
And that's what makes him such a great character.
Yeah, he was good, and I do like him in the tribal where Eric gets sent out for being such a dimwit. He get the expression on his face as he sat there in his
glory,
like Caftani type thing. That was brilliant.
And I love when he makes the fake idol, which is a stick with a face on it.
It's just
and I will say that my 8th place is also Ozzy.
Ah, well done. I got 2 right.
But yeah, it's incredible when he puts the face on the stick. Jason Siska finds it. Eliza says it's a fucking stick, and then Jeff Probst says that it's a fake idol, throws it into the fire, and Ozzy says, "Oh, Jeff, I spent hours making that." It's, to me, one of the most iconic quotes in Survivor history. But yeah, Ozzy's a 10 out of 10 character. I think he gets funnier the more arrogant he gets. His Redemption Island story where he gets voted out 3 times and comes back into the game twice.
I've got to say, I just realised Jeff throws the stick on the fire, yet you can still buy them on eBay.
Can you?
You still can. I've seen them. Yes, I've looked.
And also, it's on Ghost Island and has apparently matured into a real idol. But it got burnt.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
There we are. Anyway.
Right, my number 7 now.
Yeah, go for it.
And my number 7, it would probably upset Connor a little bit, but hey-ho, I don't care.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
It's named, it's where the podcast gets its name.
It's, I didn't know who you were going to
Tony
say.
Vlachos.
Okay, I can get behind that.
And,
I can actually get behind that. For most people, it's probably their number 1.
Yeah, no, he's not number 1. He should be number 1.
He's not my number 1. He's very high.
He's a little bit out of control, that man.
Okay.
But he is fantastic. And I do like
Is he out of control? He's won twice.
Yeah, he's out of control. He's a crazy man. I like his little spy shack and his spy up the tree shack and his other shacks that he's got.
Oh my god!
And I love the fact that he doesn't sleep. He doesn't seem to get any rest at all. He's on the go all the time. He's out at night looking for idols. He puts the work in, and if it's just
he works hard.
If it's just for that, then he's deserved to win. Was it twice he's won?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he deserves to win twice. Unquestionably,
King of Survivor.
He's fantastic, but he is unhinged, I think.
He is,
yeah.
But that's what makes him so great.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is extortion. Still runs through my head about 10 times a day. Him running onto that beach and collapsing down on the floor. Going, oh my god, this is great. What an advantage. And then realising it's an extortion advantage, I think is hilarious. Obviously, he talks llama, and that's why we're here.
Could you talk a bit of llama for us, just to remind?
That was Paul, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
That is how he speaks llama, though. Talks llama, even. But yeah, everything he does is 10 out of 10. His bag of tricks, his super idol, him saying to Officer Sarah, I'm not a cop. No, I just got cop friends. That's fantastic. And the fact that we were talking about this on the last podcast, the fact that he and Sarah Lucina, Cops Are Us, that alliance have both played 3 seasons. Exactly the same seasons. Cagayan, Game Changers, Winners at War. And between them, they've won every time.
Wow.
That alliance is 3 for 3.
Has she ever won?
Yeah.
She's won it, the whole thing. Ah, good.
Well, she's in Winners at War, isn't she?
I don't know.
And Well, yeah, because that scene where they do the fire making against each other, and he's like in pieces crying because he doesn't want to see her go.
Oh,
You remember that?
I can remember him crying, but I wouldn't have remembered which series it was or
Okay.
anything.
Well, yeah, I think that's majorly impressive. I think he's such an interesting figure that this crazy character can win not once, let alone twice.
Yeah, he should never have been allowed to win again.
No.
You know, he should have been voted out straight away.
And the fact that he wasn't, I think, proves how impressive he is as a player.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all I've got to say on Tony Blockus.
Okay, good. So who's your number whatever?
This is my number 7. And it is... Oh, I'd love to do a podcast with this man one day. It is Mr. Christian Hubicki.
Yeah.
I love Christian Hubicki. Best one-time character in Survivor history to me. If he plays again, he could become my number 1. Very easily. I think what a star that man is. When you meet him, and he gets called Big Bang Theory, and he's sort of stood there looking a bit sorry for himself, and then he goes over, and in that first challenge against John Hennigan, the mayor of Slamtown, and he does that slide puzzle in seconds, walks away all cool. I decided I loved him from there. He has so many great moments. Him with the brochachos, incredible. Davey playing his idol on him, I think shows how good he is strategically. His idol finding is great, the way he cuts it up into sections, the island. His relationship with Mike White, I think, is fascinating. Mason-Dixon alliance, I think, is fascinating.
Yeah.
I love Mason-Dixon.
One of the best moments of Survivor, I think, was when he won the challenge, where he was like crucifying himself, and he wouldn't sort of quit. He wanted to win it. Fantastic.
And he talks at Alec to make him get fed up. And he said, "Do you want Reuben sandwiches, Jeff?" Oh my god, he's just a hero on that season. Him getting rid of Gabby after Gabby decides to finally flip on him. Would you like to? Do you want to play with me? Oh, in the sand. So many great moments in 12 episodes of the season? 11 maybe? 12, 13? I don't know. But not that many episodes he's got under his belt, and he makes such a huge impact. It's Christian Hubicki.
Excellent. I am rather ashamed I forgot about him. But yeah, incredible. Okay, my number 6. Oh, we're getting to really big players now.
We're getting to the biggies.
We are. We've spoken about it before, Suri Fields.
I can't argue with it.
Just absolutely amazing. It's all been said. Just what a player, what a turnaround from when she comes in to when she goes out. Completely different person. And she's just awesome.
I can't knock that. I will take your Suri Fields, and I will raise you a Tyson Apostle.
Ah, very good. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to carry on?
Yeah, my next one. We haven't spoken about this person at all because probably it was obvious this person was going to be way at the top.
Yeah.
And for many, many reasons, it's Parvati Shallow.
Parvati Shallow, yes. Number 5, Parvati Shallow.
She's very, very easy on the eye. It's got to be said.
It's got to be said.
Apart from that, amazing strategic player. Amazing social player.
Unbelievable social player.
She's got the physicality in the challenges.
She's incredible in challenges.
So, she's just got it all. And the scene where she's in the hot tub, one of my favourite Survivor moments of all time, I've got to say.
She's another one of those players where I can't even really call to specific moments. I mean, the double idol play is iconic, but she's just so masterful. Everything she does.
And she does it all without falling apart. She doesn't have these emotional outbursts that lots of people do. She just sort of does it with a smile on her face. She just gets on with it. And anyone that can sort of keep Russell Hantz in check deserves respect, I think.
And talking about Russell and Parvati, What a great duo. But one of my favourite scenes in Survivor history is when Russell's talking to Parvati about how she's going to ride on his coattails all the way to the end. And she said, I don't ride coattails. He says, yes, you will. You'll ride on these. And he flashes his coat back. It's so funny. Every time I crack myself up. He gets so angry. Oh, what a player, Parvati Shallow. I think undeniably on the Mount Rushmore of Survivor. To me, without a question, the best female to have ever played the game. I mean, arguably the best to ever play the game. And again, I cannot wait to see her on AU vs. the World. Oh, yeah. And I feel like she could do quite well. And she's on the Traitors again this year. No, she's on the Traitors, sorry. She's on Deal or No Deal Island Season 2 this year with the Golden God.
I want to see how she stacks up against Shawnee.
Yeah.
You know, Parvati versus Shawnee. That's a matchup I'd like to see.
Shawnee to me has always been like a cross between Parvati and Courtney Yates.
Don't know who Courtney Yates is.
New Yorker. She winds you up a little bit. She's blonde.
Oh, I know the blonde girl.
Oh, I'm talking to New Yorker. Yes, Courtney Yates.
Yeah, she winds me up. Nah.
To me, Shawnee's always been like sort of a mix of those archetypes.
To me, she's just an Australian Parvati, and Parvati is just an American Shawnee.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
well, this is going to take less talking this end stretch because we're going to have lots of the same. Well, I think we've. Oh, no, we haven't got. We'll have the same top three, I think.
Well, yeah, I don't think this person's going to be where I think this person I think is going to be in your top couple.
Oh, God.
Because number 4.
Oh, don't say it.
You've got to love him. You've got to love him, even if you don't believe him.
Oh, don't say it.
Coach Wade.
No.
What a man. What a man. He's done it all.
What was his name? What was his birth name?
Ben.
One coach.
Benjamin.
Was Benjamin. And they all out here, they're 22, 23. They're talking all that, oh, Benjamin, you so loyalty. They're out here believing his Halloween jokes, he's chucking the cheese jokes.
No, he's a nutcase. I mean, he's done it all, hasn't he? Or has he? I'd like to know what he has done, really. But well, what do I love about the coach? I love him on doing his Tai Chi.
His Coach Chi.
I love his stories. I especially love him being taught, being educated by Tyson, what not to say, and he was so sad about that, and he sort of why doesn't anybody respect me, and why don't people believe me? And then when he went off to Exile Island and he did that whole finding himself,
me the best scene in Survivor history. I think that Coach is the best casting find Survivor has ever managed to pull off. How they found Coach is beyond me. They must have spoken to him for a minute and gone, he's on the program. He's gold. The way he dresses in this like Steven Seagal type thing. The fact that he said that he started the whole samurai thing. What? In 2000 and what was it? 2008? 2008.
Was he the first person to give people sort of names?
Yeah, like the warrior.
Yeah. And the wizard. Was the wizard.
Stephen Fishback.
Fishback was the wizard, was he?
The wizard.
Excellent. And again, I would like to have a name given to me by Coach Wade. Just call me anything.
Brendan is the dragon, and I am the dragon slayer.
Wow.
And he does slay that dragon. Yeah. There is a lot of ickiness in his third season with all the culty stuff. I can get past it for how great he is and everything else. And he's weirdly good at the game. If you watch him on South Pacific, I mean, that should be a winning game. If he didn't annoy everyone so much and lie to Brandon Hans, he wins that game. He plays so well. And I think that gets forgotten about quite a lot. When he talks about Erin's evil smile, I think that's a hilarious moment. When he comes back from exile and he says, can I have some water? Incredible. Every time he goes, ah! Like that. Every time he does it. And I think the editors had a delightful time every time they edited him.
They must have had so much to choose from.
It's so cinematic. And the fact that he quotes Martin Luther King. Who does this man think he is? But it would be my dream to meet Benjamin Coach Wade.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay, my number 3.
Oh no, it's me actually. Sorry,
yes.
my number 4.
Yeah, sorry, I thought. Yeah.
It's okay. It's a quick one. My number 4 is Tony Vlachos.
Okay. Yeah. So why do you think he's higher than I think he is?
Well, he's won twice. He's a fantastic personality. He's obviously an incredible player. He's very strong physically. Everything he says is hilarious. Him building that massive ladder is hilarious.
The ladder's very funny.
Him seeing Baby Shark, Sandra Shark, is hilarious. His game in Game Changers, where he goes, I'm just going to look for the idol. And he just runs and goes, woo! And just runs into the beach. Doesn't matter what he's doing because he's already won at that point. The way that he manages to come back a third time after playing such obscene games and actively try and play it undercover so that people don't see him as much of a threat and people respect him more and feel comfortable with him, and he lowers their guard before he starts making big moves and it works. The fact that people trust Tony Vlachos enough, I think, is a real testament to how good he is at the game. He's just fantastic. If I'm talking best players, he's number 1.
Ooh. Okay, right. My number 3 is Sandra Diaz Twine.
Okay.
Absolutely fantastic for all the things I've mentioned before. She is just amazing, and I love the fact that when Russell says, you're either with me or you're against me, and she turned around and looked straight at him and says, Russell, I'm against you. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Sandra Diaz Twine speaks for herself.
She does.
But this person needs to be spoken about by my father, I think. At number 3, I have Boston Rob Mariano.
What a stupid place to have him. I say, no. I'm
going to predict that Boston Rob will be number 1.
He might be. He might be. He's just amazing. He is like the perfect Survivor player.
Until he comes back and tries to do the buddy system.
Oh, the buddy system. That's incredible.
Yeah, not when he's doing it to a bunch of winners.
It doesn't. Well, yeah, okay. He's just like a superhuman. When he builds the tower block out of, when he's on the island where they got a big picture of him. Not big picture, big
statue.
Statue
when
he makes the big bust, and he makes
where he lets the tribe stay at the end of Island of the Idols. Yeah, great.
He makes like Stark Towers there, and also when he's on his own, I'm not sure if it was his first outing, and they had to design their own sort of shack, and he made deck chairs.
On All Stars,
absolutely fantastic. He had a porch with a rocking chair and God knows what. He is just amazing. And he's so likable as well. And when he lied to that man about looking after
Lex Vandenberg.
Lex, you look after her and I'll look after you. And then he voted him out. Oh, he's the complete package.
I agree with everything that Zaz just said. I think Boston Rob is Survivor. I think if you talk Survivor, Boston Rob is the face of it.
And if you went out with a drink with someone, you'd want to go out with Boston Rob.
I love Boston Rob. He is just perfect to me. I adore him. What a phenomenal personality. What a great player. I just prefer 2 people to him. And I can't help that. His game on Redemption Island, say what you will about him playing against people who aren't the best players, what he did was unbelievable. The fact that when he threw that idol clue into the volcano behind him because he didn't need it, incredible moment. His whole All-Stars game is masterful. If the jury weren't so bitter, I mean, it's a clear win. Heroes versus Villains, he even has a great time. When he passes out and he goes, "The game's getting the best of me, Jeff." And that was Tony. Then he's lying on the floor, looking all sad. It's hilarious. The fact that he's played so many times, and I think still holds up as a character to this day. And seeing someone play from season 4 all the way to season 40, I think it's so nice seeing this journey of him and seeing how he progresses, how he becomes a father. He's just great.
He is Survivor, isn't he?
He is. I think he is Survivor.
And I think Survivor is him as well.
Very insightful.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay.
Right, my number 2, And knowing who you haven't mentioned and thinking about who you will have as number one, I think my number two is going to be your number two as well.
Okay, on 3.
1, 2, 3.
Russell
Russell Hantz.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. May not be the most likable person in the world, but what a player. I mean,
Say what you will about Russell. I don't care what people say about him. I think he's unbelievable.
Yeah, there's no doubting in my mind that he should have won it twice.
Bad jury management? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but...
Unbelievable player? Yes.
Incredible. I mean...
Should he be back? Yes. Every season, give me Russell Hantz.
Yeah, it's just bitterness that's kept him from winning it. If it had sort of proper rules and it wasn't based on how bitter people were, then he would be definitely the winner.
Yeah. Russell Hantz is... I mean, he's so iconic. He changed the game. He basically brought the game into a whole new direction. His game on Samoa is unbelievable. He's the most visible player in any season ever. He, the way he finds idols the day after, the way he played idols on other people, he did things that no one else had ever done before. He's spectacular.
I also like the fact that when he went in first, he was a little tubby chap. And by the end of the first series he was on,
Adonis.
he was just ripped.
Yeah, he is.
Wonderful.
Wonderful stuff. I like when Courtney Yates calls him a little bandy-legged troll. He's just perfect. I would love to see Russell Hantz. And what's great about Russell Hantz is every time he plays, he's going to do exactly the same thing. And I'm fine with that. He's going to come in, he's going to find his dumb ladies, as he says, and his dumb girls alliance, and he's going to pull them to the end, and they're probably going to beat him. And I'm happy to watch that happen season after season. I don't want Russell to learn. I want Russell to be Russell every time. Yeah. Even him on Australian Survivor, he does exactly the same thing.
With his wedding rings that he gave to everyone.
Yeah. Fantastic. He gives loads of people wedding rings and says he swears on his marriage that he's loyal to them, and if they if he votes them out, they can throw it into the ocean or whatever. And none of them are real wedding rings. He's giving them to everyone. Genius.
And straight away he's out looking for idols, and he doesn't care who knows.
No, he tells people he's got an idol.
He's off.
Unbelievable. And if you can't work it out, I think everyone knows who our number ones are now. Would you like to say?
My number one, who needs no talking about really, is Boston Rob. Should be everyone's number one. If you're listening, Boston Rob, I'd like to go out for a drink with you.
Boston Rob Mariano. You're invited to Newport, Wales.
Yeah, come over.
And Coach Wade, I won't use your first name as I know it's a touchy subject. You're also invited to Newport, Wales, because you are the best character in Survivor history. And ain't that the truth? So that's our top 20 characters. How do you feel?
I feel good, but...
I know.
I'm sorry.
You're going to say that you've got some honourable mentions?
I've got a couple of honourable mentions. I don't need to talk about them much because we've already spoken about them, really, except for one.
Go on. Let us know who they all are anyway.
I'm going to tell you who they are. My first honourable mention is Rick Devens.
No notes.
What?
No notes.
What's that?
I have no notes.
Who for?
On you having Rick Devens on your honourable mention.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, that's good. My next one, just because she's so pretty, and she just didn't quite make it into my top 20, is Amanda Kimmel.
Okay.
Absolutely lovely. My next honourable mention, which is a shared one, and we've spoken about these two before, it's JT and Stephen Fishback.
Yeah, Stephen was so close to making it for me.
Yeah, really, really good.
As was Rob Cessanino.
Yeah. I've forgotten about Rob Cessanino. He does one of these podcasts, doesn't he?
Yeah, you've heard him quite a bit.
I think I have. And I've got two more, which are sort of maybe a bit left field. My one is just because I really admire his dungarees. And it's Big Tom. I want
Big
some
Tom
dungarees.
Buchanan.
Yeah, I love those dungarees. And if you're listening, Tom, where do you get your dungarees from? Because I'm desperate for a pair, a set. I don't know. I'm desperate for some dungarees. And I just love it where he says, I'm not sure who he says it to, tries to shake his hand or something. and he says, don't be stupid, stupid.
You don't know who he says that
Boston
to?
Rob?
Yeah.
Don't be stupid, stupid. Even though he says that to my favourite player, I can forgive him. And my last honourable mention, I don't know his name. All I know he is unhinged. And he's got a thinking chair, a thinking stool.
Shane Powers, this will be.
Crazy man.
Incredible player. Hilarious gold. Okay. Is that everything from you?
That's everything from me. Thank you very much for inviting me today.
No worries. We're looking forward to having you back on the podcast.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed today's instalment. A bit chaotic, but I hope in a fun way. And I've enjoyed speaking to you. Have you enjoyed your time, Father?
I've enjoyed it. It's the most pleasurable 1 hour, 30 minutes and 30 seconds of my life.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And we will see you next time.